Hey folks, so this is going to be a bit of a demonstration here. I thought about doing this in the classroom, but um, that just didn't seem like it was going to work very well. It seems like people get a little distracted, so hopefully this will be a real swift way for me to be able to present a concept to you. Actually, a set of tools. So we're talking about the Windows operating system, specifically Windows 10. And in Windows 10 and various other flavors of Windows, there have been some really basic tools that have been available for a long time. And I'm going to take you to a site here. I'll let you kind of take a quick look at this. So it's the learn.microsoft right now. They always change their URLs. Um, but this website is kind of directed at the Sysinternals utilities. Okay, so if you want to learn more about the Sysinternals, well, you could just do a quick Google search for that. It takes you directly to that Microsoft Learn site. There's some Wikipedia stuff. This has been around a long time. There's some YouTube videos here that you could go through for half an hour or so. Um, and part of this is going to be your homework. I'm not going to give you the entire blah, blah, blah about sysinternals and force it to stick in your head forever. Really, you have to kind of dig into this a little bit. Um, you need to kind of see how it could be useful to you. And for some of you, perhaps it will never be useful for you. So this is one of those things I'd suggest that you put in your pocket and to use it when you can. And I would challenge each other in this as well. Many of you are working with computers a lot, some of you not as much. So sysinternals, really, if that's the only thing you remember, that's great. So in this website, there's all these different sorts of categories on the left-hand side. But if you click on the downloads, so this is where it might actually be when you first log in. If you click on downloads, then there's a downloads button, link, whatever, on the left-hand side. This gives you access to the entire Sysinternals suite. Now, I haven't done this on Windows 10 in quite a while. So Windows 10 has changed. It's been at least a few years since we've used this. But this class seems to be somewhat advanced, and hopefully this will be somewhat useful. So you could go through any of the individual tools here, and you could download those. And I'm not going to get into the details of anything in particular at this second, but I will once we download this. So we want to go to basically the Sysinternals suite. And that's what I want to do. So I'm going to right click on that. I'm going to save it. And I'm going to put it in a particular place just so I can remember where I stuck it. Let's see, where do I want to put it? I'm going to put it in you could put this anywhere you want, but you just need to remember where you put it. So I'm going to put it, maybe I'll just put it in my C drive. And I'm going to again, this is my own personal computer. And I'm going to call this Sysinternals Utilities. So that's in my C drive. If this is not your computer, you might not be able to do this, number one. But remember that. If you place this into the C drive where I did, it means everybody who has access to that computer is going to be able to have access to these tools. And that may or may not be what you want, because they will require administrator level access. So keep that in mind. No one else uses my computer, and this is actually a disposable computer anyway. So I'm going to save it. And I'll try to keep this somewhat short. I think probably 10 minutes ought to be good. I'm using Google Chrome. I'm going to show in the folder just so I can see where it's located. I'm going to right click on this, choose extract all, and yeah, I think I'll just put it right back into that same folder. my internet connection is not terribly swift, but it's relatively reliable. So what we now have is, let me change this. So it created a folder, and in that folder, there are a bunch of tools that are now available here. If we go back here to the Sysinternals utilities site, you can see a quick, well, there's not much of an explanation about that, but there are some resources over here on the left. And you can go to the Windows Sysinternals tools, and it gives you some details about some books that you could use. Probably the easiest way, let's see if we can download the PDF. And let's see what this looks like then. So it should give you, go to something that might actually make sense here. Process utilities, process monitor. So this gives you kind of a basic overview of what this is going to do. It even gives you some screenshots and 8.1 and higher. So if you're using Windows 7, it might not work, but there's a different version of this that we used on Windows 7. So if you're using some older version, believe it or not, they did exist. But this particular version also has a live version to it. And what this live thing means is you can go to the website. So let's see if I click on this and it says, I don't know if this is going to work or not. But basically you're supposed to be able to run this from the internet, and that doesn't seem like that's what just happened, but let's see. I don't think so. Anyway, that's what the Sysinternals Live means. You can run these things from the internet without installing them onto your computer. So anyway, here's the explanation, blah, 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 of all the details. So I'm going to go back to my, whoops, I got a lot of stuff going on here, don't I? Oof. Sorry about that. Okay, so here's my Sysinternals. There's all these different tools, so I can click on any one of them. If some of you have used Linux, you're probably going to say, well, duh, why wouldn't this be part of everything? So there's different types of files, though. So this one is autoruns.exe, and then there's autorun64.exe, and then there's autorunc.exe, autorun 64. So the only way you're going to really know the difference here is to come back here and go to autoruns, and let's see if it gives any explanations about these different tools that are here. It does give you some of the different command switches, but it doesn't really give you a whole lot of detail about the differences between all those different versions there. So I'm just going to click on the autoruns.exe, and I'm going to run. Again, you have to have administrator level access. So when I run this, these are the things that it's finding that are automatically starting up. So it's giving you everything. So when I log in, these are the things that would start when I log in. And you can kind of see here there are some registry keys listed here. So that's in the gray thing. That's what that HKLM means. And it gives you the path within the registry. And if you don't know what the registry is, that's okay. You will. But this just gives you the location for that. That's it. That's all it's doing. And you can copy this. Check virus total. I think you can copy this. And then you can search for that within the registry if you needed to. Most of you should not be doing anything with regard to the registry. But look at the top here, and you can begin to see that there's a lot of very specific sorts of groups. So let's click on Office. So auto runs. So these are the things that automatically start. That's what they're talking about. And you can kind of check out more details of this. So these are Acrobat PDF makers, blah, blah, blah. So those are considered Office, which is funny. And then you can go to what's called the Process Explorer. So for that particular file or tools, the thing that's starting up, these are the things that are connected to it. And so now we've opened up the Process Explorer. And you could kind of begin to see how tricky this is getting here. And there's information about the CPU, private bytes, working, wow, that orange is tough for me to read. There's a process ID there, I can see that thing. And then you can see there's a description, company name, blah, blah, blah. Most of you would be familiar with this process monitor. And so this is the pretty standard Microsoft version of processes, performance, history, startup. So these are things that are starting up, but this is a pretty basic version. There's dozens of files that are connected with Adobe and PDF that automatically start up that are not listed here. So if I went in here, I might be able to find some more information about it, but not as detailed as what we're going to see out here in the Process Explorer. So this is where you really begin to see the details. This is where you begin to see identification numbers of each process and perhaps more information. Who started it? When did they start it? What its hit on the CPU is. Okay? So you can begin to kind of check things out in a more detailed manner. And this is initially probably not terribly helpful for some of you. It might just be confusing. But what I like to do is when I have something that's broken and I don't understand why it's broken or not working properly, and I may use some tools like this to be able to discover some other things about whatever's happening on that computer. So for example, here's the scheduled tasks. So these scheduled tasks, you probably have no idea that there are this many scheduled tasks in your computer, but it helps and puts it all into one place. If I come up here to the search bar and I type in schedule task scheduler, it's an application. Most of you probably haven't used it before. But here's the library of those things. Most of them looks like they're OneDrives. And when are they happening? It tells you here. But I believe you can come to one of these entries and you can begin to check to see, no, not that way. So you can begin to see down here the details of when that thing was started. It doesn't look like it's going to give you the actual scheduling component to that. You'd have to go to the task scheduler for that. But these are the scheduled tasks. So yeah, you should be able to figure out a bunch of new interesting things by clicking on that. The tool that I was most interested in when I first started using this was this thing called ProcMon. We called it ProcessMon or something like that years ago. And let's just do this. So it's requiring administrative level access. And here's what it's finding. It's finding everything basically. This isn't really how you would use this tool. Normally you would find something that you're working on. So for example, the reason why I started using this was I was building some software and we needed to be able to check some of the processes that the application was connecting with and creating. And so if we come down here, all these processes just keep getting created over and over. And if you notice down here at the bottom, it's showing 135,000 out of a 500,000 events. And it's only 26% of these things. So this isn't normally how you would use this tool. This process monitor would be used, let's see if I can figure out how to do this. Here's a filter. So this is where you can begin to find a process ID that you want to check out. And let's just go in and click one of these. Add it now, yes. And I don't even know what it was that we just added. But whatever it is, it doesn't look like it has any associated processes with it. So some processes operate kind of on their own and they have no children. They don't spawn any other additional sorts of processes, but other ones do. So for example, if we found the Chrome process ID and we entered that in here, let's see if we can do that. We'll clear everything. All right, so here's our daily. So here's Chrome. So Chrome is a program and its process ID is 7836. So if we go to filter and is 7836, then include them. We'll add that. And so now I can begin to see all of the processes that are connected with Chrome. And I can see where that file that's running is located. So again, these are all Chrome processes and they're all connected to that main process there. And you can see this is a very, very, very busy process. All of that is related to Chrome.
I'm not sure I understand.
And that was Siri on my iPad. Okay, so all of these things give you some details, and how useful this would be, it's probably not going to be super useful to you immediately, but as you get out into the world and you start doing some things, these are what software developers and advanced system administrators might actually work with to begin to figure out details of these sorts of things. Because sometimes problems happen and we can't figure them out, but we can't start from scratch either. So that's when tools like this become very, very useful. So if I come back here and I start looking a little bit more, I can just randomly click on some things. I don't even know what this thing is. RAM map. But now I do, because it's running and there's the details of theoretically my RAM on this computer. And I have 4 gigs, I think. And nope, looks like I have 8 gigs. And it doesn't really matter, but these are the sorts of things that it's telling me that I have 5.4 gigabytes or 5,480,192K. So if I come over to the task manager and I look at the familiar performance window and I move that over here and I look at memory, it says that I have 5.6 gigabytes of RAM that's in use. So that's just about 5.4, 5.5. So that's about what that is, because I can see that over here. And I do have around 8 gigabytes of RAM. Okay? So what I'd like for each one of you to do, and yes, this is homework, I would like for each one of you, which means everyone, um, on their own, to take a look at one of these tools. I would like for you to download the documentation. I would like for you to attempt to install this on your computer. You can follow the instructions that I just showed you on this video. And I would like you to be prepared to either A, give us a written summary of what it is that you looked at, or B, I would like for you to be able to talk to us next week in class about the tool that you looked at, why you looked at it, what it does, how it could be used. I don't want to watch YouTube videos about it because I can do that myself. I would like for your summary of that. I really want your insight as to why you chose it, um, why someone else professionally might use this, and how it could be useful to us in the future. So just one, you don't have to do multiples, just one, and let us know on Monday in class what you're thinking about. And with that, I'll cut this off. That's about 22 minutes. Um, and I hope each one of you have a great Halloween or have had a great Halloween. And I hope that you didn't wait until the last minute to watch this video. So we'll talk soon. Let me know if you have questions.